Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade. All right, Peter Engel. So how does the creator of Saved by the Bell have one of the most diverse, crazy, interesting lives imaginable, as documented in I Was Saved by the Bell?
Because I was lucky enough on my journey to meet some of the most iconic people of my time and their time, from John F. Kennedy to John Lennon to Jacques Cousteau, and they're great stories. They're not just meeting. They have to have a story to it.
The craziest thing is you tried to make TV shows for all of them. That's like I was reading this and I'm
Well,
like...
not JFK.
Everybody but JFK.
My job was to help him make him president, which I did.
When you look back and you got to work with these people, and how mind-blowing is it to look back and realize, oh my God, I had associations with these people?
It blows my mind when I finally reread the book now after all these years of writing it. It's the stories. I mean, John Lennon, ABC wanted to do a late night show way before Saturday Night Live, and from 11:30 to 12:30, and we were doing a lot of shows for them at a time when I was at Metro Media. So I struck out with Orson Welles. He couldn't shoot in the United States because of IRS problems. Then they wanted Betty Davis. She wouldn't do it unless I moved back to New York, and I just moved to California. And I finally said to the president of ABC, if you could have anyone in the world, who would it be? And he was a very conservative guy. He said, John Lennon. I said, John Lennon? The Beatles, John Lennon? It didn't seem to be. He said, yeah, you get me John Lennon, and I will give you 26 weeks firm on Saturday nights from 11:30 to 12:30. What happened, I called people. How do you get to John Lennon? Finally, we had a meeting. Lennon says, okay, the lawyers start working on it. He tells me he wants to do a show with freaks and geeks and revolutionaries. I go, I want that too. And however, just before ready to sign the contract, I get a call from one of his guys. And my wife and I, my girlfriend at the time, were guests at his. He said, I'm doing a little thing on Friday night. Why don't you bring your girlfriend? It was a one-to-one concert at Madison Square Garden with Stevie Wonder and what's her name as the opening act, and Yoko was in it. And I get a call just before ready to sign the contract. John has one thing he insists upon. So I called the president of ABC, I got to come see you. And I said, John, how's everything? Great. He said, John, there's one little thing. And he said, what? I said, there's this person he likes, you probably never heard of her, called Yoko. And he goes, ice cold. And he says, what does he want? He would like her to be part of the show, nothing major. And he says, what is it? He wants to, I could cough it out, co-host, get out of my office. Yoko broke up the Beatles. And so he says, no Yoko or no show. John kept saying, Yoko or no show. And it went, Yoko show, Yoko no show. And we never did the show.
So a show you did do was a little show called Saved by the Bell.
A little show that I didn't want to do.
When you look back, I mean, that's the era I grew up in. Yeah. I remember the true enormity of Saved by the Bell. When you look back to realize that you essentially created the teenage show of a generation, what goes through your head?
I love it. It's the school I always wanted to go to. I went to a 4-story walk-up on the west side here in New York. I didn't go to Bayside. I wasn't Zach. I would have liked to have been Zach, but I wasn't Screech either. And it's tremendous. It impacted a whole generation, including my own children. And that makes me feel great when I people today come up to get my book or to talk to me, have the picture taken. You made my childhood, or you did this, or I watched it. I came to your show when I was 14 years old, and now my husband and I watch it with our 5-year-old daughter every morning. It makes me feel great.
I love the association you had with the characters and how famous they became. There's a story in the book about going to the White House with Dustin Diamond.
That's great.
And they were all fawning over him, right?
Well, it was better than that. What happened was we were going to the White House with all the NBC nighttime stars, and we were doing the new class then. And Screech was assistant principal when he was only 17. So I brought him back to save the show. And so Mr. Beldy and he and I were thrown in with all the... And they give us, at the White House West Gate, they give us a admonition of rules. No jokes, no assassination jokes. The presidents in residence, President Clinton. I went back to met him a year later, but and no clowning around, and we're walking up the grass, and there's sharpshooters on the roof. And all of a sudden, I hear guys yelling from the top of the roof. I think we've done something wrong. They're yelling, "Screech! Screech is here!" And Secret Service guys come running from all over because they were Bell generation. And now they were young guys in their 20s who had grown up with the original Bell. And Screech broke the security of the White House in 5 minutes. And they're running from all over to greet Screech. Screech is here. And all these NBC major primetime stars are standing like that. What's going on? Screech broke the security.
Everybody's gone on to do such great things. When you were casting this thing, did you have a feeling that Mark Paul was going to be a successful actor? Tiffany would do good things?
Absolutely.
At that age, even at that
I
age?
knew when they were 14 that Mark Paul would be the biggest teen star in the world, which he became.
Like how, though? How do you see it?
Because he had that magic.
You just see it.
You see it. And Tiffany was very inexperienced. Mark Paul had done a few things, and on PBS, a movie, and this and that. Tiffany had done nothing. Had been Miss Teenage America. I just felt something that she was going to be a star and be on the cover of every teen magazine, and it happened.
You also write about your faith. I got to tell you, I'm a Jew for Jesus as
I
well.
am too.
See, I know. That's why
I don't belong to that group. I don't belong to any group that would have me.
I don't know if it's a group. I just believe in Jesus and was born Jewish. And you have a similar background.
Right.
And my producer's like, you got to see this. He's just like you. Talk to me about sharing your faith in this book.
Well, I talk about how I was made fun of people like you and me.
Thanks, Peter.
No, I did.
Right.
And I used to make fun of people and Jesus and people like you and me. And I used to, do jokes about it. And I did jokes about it. And then I had an experience that you can read about in the book one night in Malibu in 1979. It changed my whole life. And
and it involved Quaaludes, which about always does.
Well, she was on Quaaludes. I was on nothing that night, Lady Q. And it changed my life dramatically. And I probably never would have done Saved by the Bell because I'd probably been dead by that time. And my faith is my faith. Now, in the book, I also I was the keynote speaker at the National Prayer Breakfast in 2006, and I gave a speech. I had a standing ovation when I came out. There were like 2,000 people. When I finished, 3 people clapped because I gave the speech called "The Gospel of the Pentagon is Not in My Bible," and I didn't understand how the right-wing Christians were for guns when Jesus in my Bible says, "Take your swords and turn them into plowshares." So I had an interview the other day, well, how did that impact your faith? I said, it didn't impact my faith at all. I just didn't want to be part of that. And my faith is my faith. And it's very strong. I just don't do many appearances anymore, and I just try and live my life the way I can be an example to people of how you're supposed to live. Sometimes I'm successful,
and sometimes
not
so much. I want to talk about TV today because when you look back at the Saved by the Bell days, it was a few channels. It was a morning show that everybody watched. Now you have Netflix, you have Amazon, you have phones, you have every medium. Does it blow your mind to see where we've gone with this?
Yes, but there's some really good things on television.
Really good.
There's some really good things on Netflix. Some really good things with John Landgraf at FX, who was at NBC as a young executive, and David Nevins at Showtime as president of Showtime. Those were young guys when we were doing Bell, and they were young in drama departments and story department. And I think there's some great stuff at Fox. And in my book, Kevin Riley was chairman of Fox. Was the executive we named Screech's Robot after Kevin. He was 23 years old. Then he became the president of NBC and then Fox. I think there's great stuff going on. The problem is clutter. There's so much. And I'm old school. I don't read yesterday's newspaper. So I either see it when it's there or I don't. But it's because there's so much clutter and so much doesn't mean it's not as good or better than it was. And I think that they're doing some great things on it. Oh, television's always done great things.
Could Saved by the Bell have, first of all, could it exist today and could it have the same impact it had as
No.
when it existed?
Not Saved by the Bell. Saved by the Bell, we had diversity racially, and we did topics, but we made fun. And now things are so diverse, I don't think we could do the comedy we did. I think Saved by the Bell was a much gentler and kinder time, and it wasn't as, when diverse in a bad way, there's just so much diversity. I think it would have to be a drama today. I don't think it'd be a comedy. I think it's some of the diversity is too new to have fun with it. For instance, instead of helping, you might offend comedically. So I think drama would probably be better.
One of the stories I love that you talk about is you were doing a talk show that only lasted one season, but you were touching on topics, LGBT issues.
No, it wasn't a talk show, it was a court show.
Court show.
Yeah.
And it got canceled, but meanwhile, now everybody's talking about that today. How forward,
1977, we did a gay wedding on Sorota's Court at 9 o'clock in prime time on NBC. We did 19 or 22 of them. And I can't believe now, I wasn't important then. I wasn't David Kelly or Chuck Lorre or Dick Wolf. I mean, this was my first big primetime show. And I can't believe that we did a gay wedding on Sorota's Court in 1977. I must have been out of my mind to take on the powers that be. And we did other topics back then that were way before their time. And that's why we didn't continue past 1 year. We was not ready. I thought America was ready. The network thought maybe, and they
America
weren't.
said no.
Well, it wasn't ready for it.